Hello there, welcome to the channel. I'm Gray, and today we're talking about Elden Ring. So, what is Elden Ring? Well, Elden Ring is a 2022 actual role-playing game developed by FromSoftware. It was directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki with the world building provided by the fantasy writer George R.R. Martin. Players control a customizable play character called Tarnish, who is on the quest to repair the Elden Ring and become the new Elden Lord. Elden Ring is presented through a third-person perspective. Players freely roam its interactive open world. The six main areas are traversed using the player's character's steed, Thorin, as the primary mode of travel. Linear hidden dungeons can be explored to find useful items. Players can use several types of weapons and magic spells, including non-direct engagement enabled by stealth mechanics. Throughout the game's world, checkpoints enable fast travel and allow players to improve their attributes using an in-game currency called runes. Elden Ring has an online multiplayer mode in which players can join each other for cooperative and player versus players combat. During planning, FromSoftware wanted to create an open-world game with gameplay similar to Dark Souls. The company wanted Elden Ring to act as an evolution of the self-titled debut of the series. Miyazaki admired the work of Martin, whose contribution he hoped would produce a more accessible narrative than those of the company's earlier games. Martin was given unrestricted freedom to design the backstory, while Miyazaki was lead writer for the in-game narrative. The developers concentrated on environmental scale, role-playing, and the story. The scale required the construction of several structures inside the open world. Elden Ring received critical acclaim for its open world, gameplay systems, and setting, with some criticism for its technical performance. It won multiple Game of the Year awards and sold over 20 million copies in a year. An expansion, Shadow of the Erdtree, was announced in February 2023. So the gameplay for Elden Ring, well, at the start of the game, the player chose a character class, which determines their starting spells, equipments, and attributes. Combat with enemies can be within melee range or from a distance using ranged weapon or spells. Enemy attacks can be dodged or blocked using shields. In Elden Ring, spells allow players to enhance their weapons, fight enemies from afar, and restore lost hit points. The player can memorize a limited amount of these spells, which can be cast using a staff or a sacred seal. Weapons in Elden Ring can be improved using Ash of War, which are obtainable enchantments that grant weapons new capabilities. Ash of War can be applied or removed from weapons, and each ash adds a weapon art, a special ability that can be used during combat. When you play the game, there will be checkpoints called Sites of Grace are located throughout the game. In these places, characters can increase the power of their attributes, change memorized spells, swap Ash of War, or walk to using a fast travel. Upon death, players respawn at the last site of grace they interacted with. They may choose to respawn at a certain location highlighted by the sticks of Marika, provided they die nearby. To increase their attribute at the site of grace, the player must spend rune, an in-game currency that is acquired by defeating enemies. Runes can also be used to buy items and improve weapons and armor. Dying in Elden Ring will cause the player to lose all collected runes at the location of death. If the player dies again before retrieving the runes, they will be lost forever. Elden Ring contains crafting mechanics. The creation of item requires materials, recipe which are required for the crafting of items. These recipes can be found inside collectibles called cookbooks, which are scattered throughout the world. Materials can be collected by defeating enemies, exploring the game's world, or by trading with merchants and PCs. Crafted items include poison darts, exploding pots, and consumables that temporarily increase the player's combat strength, similar to the Dark Souls games. The player can summon friendly NPC called spirits to fight enemies. Summoning each type of spirit requires its equivalent spirit ash. Different types of spirit ash can be discovered as the player explores the game world. Spirits can only be summoned near structures called rebirth monument, which are primarily found in a large area inside boss arenas. And of course, because it's a Dark Souls game, Elden Ring has a multiplayer system that allows players to be summoned for both cooperative and player versus player play over the internet. Cooperative play involved the placing of a summon sign on the ground, which caused the sign to become visible to online players who have used a corresponding item. If another player interacts with the sign, the player who placed the sign is summoned into the world. Cooperative players remain in the same world until the boss of the area is defeated or until summoned player dies and is returned to their home world. In PvP combat, a summon sign is used to challenge another player to a duel, or the player can use additional item to invade the world of others. World hosts may use a taunted tongue to increase the likelihood their world will be invaded by others and decrease the time between invasions. So the basic premise for Elden Ring is Elden Ring takes place in the Lands Between, a fictional realm over which several demigods rule. It was previously ruled over by the immortal Queen Marika, who acts as a keeper of Elden Ring, a powerful force that manifested itself as a physical concept of order. When Marika shattered the Elden Ring and disappeared, her demigod children began fighting over the pieces of Elden Ring in an event called the Shattering. Each demigod has a shard of the ring called the Great Rune, which corrupts them with power. In the game, the player character is a Tarnish, one of the group of exiles from the Lands Between, who are summoned back after the Shattering. The player must traverse the realm to repair the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord. So I tried to play the game and it was fun. Like if you want my review, I would say like it's a good game. It's an actual good game. The gameplay was nice. The story was no. There's no story in the game. It just like more to like you just learn what happened after the shattering and you just know oh it happens like this. It's kind of like lore stuff, but it's not really a story. But it's fun to know like what happens to the world after you exploring all of this. All in all, I would say Elden Ring is an awesome game and you should try it. And it'll be best if like you have friends to play with too. It's not a good multiplayer games I would say there, but the boss are pretty fun to play with and except Melania. If you know that girl, she's hard. Yeah, that's all for today. I am grading and I hope everyone enjoyed this and don't forget to like and subscribe the videos and make sure you please like and subscribe the videos. You know, I'm trying really hard to make these videos. I'm learning slowly, but who knows? Yeah, goodbye.